Let's begin our podcast.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everybody. Today, we're going deep on something that affects all of us every single day.
Yeah, habits.
Habits, exactly.
Yeah.
Those often invisible things driving nearly 40% of everything we do. It's like our brains are on autopilot.
Right, it's like a mental shortcut.
Totally. And we're not just talking about brushing your teeth or making coffee. This stuff goes way deeper.
Oh, absolutely. It affects how we think, how we learn, even how we interact with other people.
This is why understanding how habits work is so crucial, especially if you're looking to take control of your life, improve your health, get more done, feel better overall.
That's exactly it.
So to really understand this, we dove deep into The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg.
Great book.
It is a great book. And today, we're going to break it down for you and give you the essential insights.
Stuff you can really use.
Exactly. So let's start with the foundation, the habit loop.
Ah, yes. This is Duhigg's big idea. And it's so simple, but so powerful.
Break it down for us.
Okay, so it's a 3-step process. Cue, routine, reward. So imagine you're feeling stressed out. That stress, that feeling, that's your cue.
Okay.
Now, what do you do when you're stressed? Maybe you reach for a chocolate bar.
Oh, yeah. Guilty.
Right, that's the routine. And then you eat the chocolate and you get this like brief feeling of comfort.
Yeah, that little dopamine hit.
Exactly. That's your reward. And this whole loop, it happens over and over again. And the more it happens, the stronger that connection becomes.
So it gets ingrained.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's why it's so important to understand this loop, because if you want to change a habit, you need to become a detective.
Yeah.
You got to figure out what your cues are and what rewards you're chasing.
That's interesting. It's like understanding the why behind your actions.
Precisely.
So it sounds like our brains are always trying to find these little shortcuts.
That's our brains being efficient, yeah. Conserving energy.
But is it always this straightforward, like cue, routine, reward?
Well, it's a good model, but it's not the whole picture. Wendy Wood, she's another researcher in this field, and she really highlights the importance of the environment.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more about that.
So, where you are, what time it is, who you're with, these things, they all act as cues too.
They're all part of the context.
Exactly. And she also makes this distinction between starting a habit and maintaining a habit.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah. So, like, starting a new habit, that often takes a lot of conscious effort. You're making a decision, you're forcing yourself to do something new.
Right, like forcing yourself to go to the gym for the first time.
Exactly. But once that habit's established, it's less about willpower and more about the environment and the consistency.
It's like going to the gym becomes automatic after work because you always have your bag packed and ready.
That's a great example. So, once the habit's formed, it's like your surroundings just take over.
Fascinating. So what's actually happening in our brains while all this is going on?
Well, there's this part of the brain called the basal ganglia.
Okay.
And it's basically like our brain's autopilot.
Interesting.
So as you repeat an action over and over again, the basal ganglia takes over. It automates the behavior.
So it becomes unconscious.
Exactly. It frees up your conscious mind to focus on other things.
That's amazing. And a little scary.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it is. And then you have dopamine.
Oh, yeah. The reward chemical.
It's a big player here. So it's not just about getting the reward, it's about the anticipation.
You're excited to get that reward.
Right. And that anticipation, that's what really strengthens the habit.
Makes sense. So we've got the loop and the brain. But psychologically speaking, what's going on that makes these habits stick?
Well, there's something called context repetition theory.
Okay, what's that?
Basically, it says that the more consistent your environment is, the stronger those neural pathways become.
The stronger the habit.
Exactly. And then there's Kahneman's dual process theory. Have you heard of that one?
I have. That's the System 1 and System 2 thinking, right?
Yes. So System 1 is all about those automatic, unconscious actions, our habits.
Okay.
And System 2 is our conscious, deliberate thinking.
Got it.
So the thing is, most of our habits, they're driven by System 1. We're not even thinking about it.
We're on autopilot.
Exactly. So to change a habit, you got to bring it into your conscious awareness. You got to use System 2.
I see. So it's like when you find yourself mindlessly scrolling through social media, that's System 1. But if you can recognize that you're doing it and why you're doing it, that's System 2 kicking in.
Right. And then you can start to make a change.
So we know the process. But what about the timeline? How long does it actually take to form a new habit? What about that 21-day myth?
Yeah, that's a popular one. But unfortunately, it's not quite true.
Is it longer?
Well, there was a study done at UCL, and they found that it takes an average of 66 days.
Oh, wow. That's a lot longer.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It varied wildly from person to person. For some people, it was only 18 days.
Okay.
But for others, it took over 250.
Wow. So there's really no magic number.
Nope. The key is consistency. You got to keep practicing, even if you slip up every now and then.
So missing one day at the gym isn't going to ruin everything.
Exactly. But if you keep missing days, well, that's going to make things harder.
So it's about the long game.
It really is.
It sounds like our environment plays a pretty big role here, right?
Oh, huge. Like we said, those stable cues, they really strengthen those habits.
Like always making coffee first thing in the morning.
Exactly. Or always going to bed at the same time. And even little things like leaving your running shoes by the door.
Oh, that's a good tip. Like a visual reminder.
Yeah, those visual nudges can be really helpful. And the best part is you can use all of this to your advantage.
How so?
Well, you can change your environment to disrupt old habits.
Oh, interesting. So if you're trying to break a bad habit, you could rearrange your furniture or something.
Exactly. Or if you're trying to start a new habit, you can set up your environment to make it easier.
Like meal prepping on Sundays if you're trying to eat healthier.
That's a great example. You're basically designing your environment for success.
So we've learned about the science, the psychology, the environment, but how can we actually use this knowledge to improve our lives?
Well, there are a lot of practical things you can do. One really effective technique is called implementation intentions.
Okay, what's that?
It's basically making a plan in advance. Like, if this happens, then I will do that.
I see. So like, if my phone buzzes after 9 p.m., I will put it face down.
Exactly. You're creating a specific rule for yourself.
That's a great idea.
And then there's something called nudge theory.
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's about making small changes to your environment to influence your behavior.
So like keeping healthy snacks in plain sight and junk food out of reach.
Exactly. And it's not just for individuals. Businesses use these habit-forming strategies all the time.
That makes sense. Like those apps that send you notifications to keep you engaged.
Exactly.
Wow, this has been really eye-opening. So what's the big takeaway?
I think the main message is that even though habits feel automatic, we're not slaves to them.
We have the power to change.
Exactly. With a little awareness and effort, you can reshape your habits and reshape your life.
That's a powerful thought. So for all of you listening, I want you to consider one small thing you do every day without thinking.
Yeah, something you do automatically.
Now think, how could understanding this habit loop or your environment help you change that for the better?
It's a good question to ask yourself.
It really is. It might just be the key to unlocking a whole new level of control and success. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.
See you next time.
Bye, everybody.